Welcome back to Shots with Devin. Here we are with our co-host, Katie Weaver. She's at Sussex County Community College, and we're doing interactive photography lessons over the radio. How do we do that, Katie?
By talking.
We definitely do a lot of talking, and we also tie in with the website, www.devinshots.com. If you click on the website, follow the links to WTBQ, and click on this week's show. You'll be able to see the images that Katie and I just discussed. One of the cool things that we do is we videotape every episode, so if you don't catch it live, you can catch the video clips on the website and follow along. Even go back to previous episodes and hear some of the things that we've spoken about in the past. Katie and I were just discussing how photography has changed, right? And we were talking a little bit about how it seems that things have gotten better since people started shooting digital, in the sense that people's skill level has improved. Do you agree with that?
Definitely.
And I was having a conversation with Rich, who is an engineer here at the radio station, and he was asking questions about prints because he didn't like digital photography because he didn't like the quality of the prints that he was getting. And so we had a conversation about how, well, really the way he was getting his prints was he was printing them off of his printer. And most of the printers that homeowners are using, the general people, don't have the quality of inks that make an archival print. However, there are a million photo labs that you can send your digital file to, and they'll do a chemical print just like you would with film. And the quality is the same. It's exactly the same as a film print. So if you want to do a fine art type print, or if you're taking portraits of your children, your family, and you want prints to put on the wall, just send them to the lab. There's a million labs that do that. Are you familiar with any of those labs?
Yeah, the ones over line that do these like Snapfish and those things.
Yeah, you email them the photo and they mail you back your prints. And what's nice about it is you only have to print the ones that you like. Unlike back in the day with film.
Put the lasting coat on it that keeps them good for years.
Oh yeah. Yep. Well, if they're a chemical print, it's exactly the same as if you had brought film to the lab. It's the same process. If you get some of the real large prints, some of them are ink prints that the labs will do, and they'll treat them with a UV protector that stabilizes them and prevents them from fading. Now, I wanted to talk about another aspect of our lesson, and at the same time, I want to tell everybody about a very exciting thing that's happening. We've created a little bit of a partnership with Mora over at Bink. Are you familiar with Bink? Bink is a children's boutique in Warwick. Mora runs a great shop there. She's got all kinds of really excellent clothes and accessories for babies, from little tiny babies up to toddlers. And she and I spoke, and we're going to actually take the concept of this radio show, Shots with Devin, and bring it to Bink. And the second Sunday of every month, we're going to do a live photography workshop outside of her store on Railroad Avenue in Warwick.
That sounds fun.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
We're going to have a model in most cases. We're going to have anybody can come. You can just come off the street and ask me questions, and we're going to be showing how to use your camera, how to buy a camera, how to compose your photographs. I'm calling it ghetto portraits. In other words, how can you take professional-looking portraits of your family without going to the studio? So how to make a backdrop, how to set up lights without spending a fortune, and people can duplicate the quality of photographs they're getting from some of those labs, studios out there. So that's going to be fun. So on the second Sunday of every month at 3 o'clock, Shots with Devin at Bink. How cool is that? Now, when I was talking to Mora about that, she had a question. She said, I would like you, as one of your topics, to tell us how do we take better pictures of our family at the beach. And I would suspect that for many of our listeners, that's a good question. Right? Or you're at the soccer game with the kids, and it's bright sunshine out there, or you're at the beach, it's bright, harsh light. How do you take better pictures? What is the problem that have you noticed that when people take pictures outside in bright sunlight, have you noticed what the problem with that is?
Overexposure.
Overexposure is one, right? You see no detail at all,
Yeah.
right? Or you'll see deep shadows under the eyes, right? Because the light's coming from straight above.
They're in shadow completely themselves.
They're in total shadow. So what is the factor that we have to be aware of when we're outside? The light source, the sun. So in many cases, you want to try to get out of the sun. So if oftentimes at the beach, there's a pavilion or a place that can get you out of the direct sun, and you can have ambient light in there that you can use for your exposure, and the brightness is outside of the photo. That's one tip for shooting at the beach. Go to the pavilion, take a picture of the family with the beach in the background. You have control of your light. Or if you're on the actual sand or in the water, position yourself so that the sun is hitting either one side or the other of the person. You ever seen that? You ever seen a picture where one side of the face is maybe way overexposed, but the other side is looking pretty good, right? That's just being aware of where the sun is, and you just change the position of the person so that most of their light, most of the bright sunlight is not on their face. It's off to one side or the other. Have you ever seen that done?
Sometimes, yeah.
It can sometimes create what's called rim lighting. Have you ever seen rim lighting? That's when you see like a real good sharp outline of bright light, but the exposure is good on the face. So that's another tip. You had, we were talking about this kind of informally earlier.
Yeah.
What was your solution for shooting outside?
The filters. The filters that you put on your lenses.
Yes. So for our listeners who have some of the larger cameras, larger lenses, one of the two of the most important filters to use would be either a polarizer or a UV filter. The polarizer gives you that great dark sky, that beautiful dark sky, and it takes a lot of the glare off of the water if you're shooting on water. And UV also, it helps to minimize some of the harshness.
Yeah, I'm like wearing sunglasses, right?
Kind of, yeah. I actually, now that you mention that, it's interesting. A friend of mine is a photographer, amateur photographer, and he was traveling out in the west somewhere, took a photograph of the mountains through his sunglasses. And I remember seeing the photograph saying, Scott, this is a beautiful image. How did you get it? Because the color was very saturated and just a gorgeous image. He said, I had polarizer sunglasses and I shot through them. I'm like, brilliant. That's the way to do it. So that's a trick for you. Shoot through the sunglasses. Try it. It's digital. If you don't like it, erase it and try again. Isn't that really the trick, Katie? Just experiment. Especially if you have a digital camera, it doesn't cost you any money to try things out. So don't be afraid to move things around outside. If you're shooting at the beach, you're shooting at the soccer field, just move things around till you get the light the way you like it, get the background the way you like it, shoot away, have a good time. So I want to thank everyone for joining us with Shots with Devin. We'll be back next week with another co-host. Meantime, have a great time, great week. Check out the website, devinshots.com. Listen to the radio show again. Take care, Katie.
You too.